But who is this James who gave his name to Santiago de Compostela? Here is a short answer to that question. James was a Galilean Jew who was born in Israel during the Roman occupation. His father, Zebedee, is a fisherman set up on Lake Tiberias, also called Sea of Galilee. This lake is crossed by the Jordan River. His mother, Salome, is one of the women who followed Jesus during the 3 last years of his life. James has a younger brother named John, who is the author of the 4th Gospel. The Gospels tell us that while Jesus was passing alongside the lake, he saw Zebedee's 2 sons that were busy mending their fishing nets. He called them, and the 2 brothers immediately left their father, their home, and the family company. They became Jesus' intimates. James had a passionate, ambitious, bold, and decisive nature, so that Jesus named him Son of Thunder. He is one of the 12 apostles. He attended every important fact of the life of Jesus until his death and resurrection. Jesus' message, "Love one another as I have loved you," became his motto. After the resurrection, the apostles went on all the roads of all the countries known at the time to carry Jesus' message. According to tradition, James left to evangelize Spain. St. James' preaching was not a great success, and after a couple of years he came back to his country. But when he arrived, he was arrested, sentenced to death, and beheaded during the reign of Herod Agrippa. According to the book of Acts, the martyr took place between 41 and 43. After James' death, tradition and legends take over from the Bible texts. As the condemned man could not be buried on the spot, his body was placed in a boat with a stone keel, which was pushed by the water and by the wind. After sailing for a long time, the boat ran aground at the end of an estuary in Galicia, near the town that is now called Padron. 30 kilometers later, the body is finally buried, after quite a few twists and turns, in a compostum, that is to say a Roman cemetery. The name Compostela partly comes from this word. The grave went forgotten for centuries, around 760 years. It was found in 813 by a hermit, who was guided by a mysterious star. The local bishop identified the burial place as that of St. James. Pope Gregory IV welcomed the discovery, and the King of Aragon built a church and named St. James patron of all Spain. The first pilgrims from Spain and from all over Europe set out to come and honor the relics of St. James. Over the centuries and along the way, in France and Spain, miracles have been attributed to the saint, such as in Santo Domingo de la Calzada. He is the hero of many legends that the pilgrims will discover on their way. We should also note the appearance of St. James at the Battle of Clavijo, where he fought with the armies of the Reconquista against the Saracens. Several artworks depict him as a warrior on horseback raising a sword, including a statue in the Cathedral of Santiago de Compostela. In the Middle Ages, the pilgrimage was a huge success. Pilgrims were housed, fed, and cared for. Routes were mapped out all over Europe. Then there were periods of lesser interest in the pilgrimage. But since the 20th century, the ray has been growing again. In 2019, 350,000 pilgrims arrived in Santiago de Compostela and applied for the Compostela. There are many reasons that put the pilgrims on the way, and many different ways of traveling. But for all of them the destination is the same: St. James' grave, in the city that bears his name. Today, nobody can provide scientific evidence that the body of the man who was beheaded by a sword in the Roman era, the body that lies in the cathedral, is the one of St. James Apostle. To each his own opinion. But the pilgrim doesn't need proof to start the long way that'll lead him to a better life, to more friendliness and humanity. There's a motto that comes from the Belgian association The Friends of St. James, and this motto states, "To each his own way." Ortreia e buen camino, peregrino.